Welcome to Cantina Jargon.
Welcome back to Cantina Jargon. This is episode 4 of the podcast with myself, Joe from Jargon, and Caden from Cantina Talk. We just saw episode 4 of Ahsoka this week. I personally think it was the best episode yet, but definitely need to get your opinion on it. What are you thinking?
I think you said it perfectly. I mean, I like definitely, at least for me anyway, the best since Mando season 2's finale. It was pretty up there.
Yeah, it was up there among the best for me. Mando season 2, Book of Boba Fett Luke episode.
Yeah, that too.
This episode, and honestly, I think a lot of people are just rating it highly because Anakin showed up at the end, but I think the rest of the episode was what was so incredible.
I mean, that's amazing. That's in the last 30 seconds.
Right.
For me, it's the whole Balin and Ahsoka fight, and then Shin and Sabine, and then everything with them in the forest with Marok as well.
Yeah.
Just all. I don't know. It felt a lot like Nick Gillard, or I can't say it. Choreography.
Yeah,
when it comes to saber fighting.
Yeah, the Balin fight was that was the highlight, man. That his moves were incredible.
Yeah, and to me it seemed like I could be wrong, but and Jedi, I think it was Jedi Outcast, you could change your hilt like if it's super heavy or super light.
Oh yeah.
His saber seemed heavy when he was swinging it.
Yeah, like a heavy
sword. It wasn't
right.
It wasn't. It's not like what a lightsaber sounds like. How it sounds like it's gonna be super light. Like Balin was taking really hard baseball bat swings.
Right.
You could tell how hard he was hitting Ahsoka based off of how he was throwing her off each time.
Oh yeah, I mean every time she even made contact with her own saber, it would there was a force to it, And God, there was one swing he took where he spun around and jumped and that lightsaber was just swinging through the air. That's so cool.
I saw when he came down and hit her saber, it almost looked like it almost dropped out of her hand. He hit so hard when he came down. I just gonna say, if she was using her Shoto there, it would have been lethal in that close quarters.
Right.
But I know what she didn't, because she had to have the hand free to grab the star map. But I feel like it would have been lethal in that scenario.
I know, that's I was thinking especially the fight versus Marok. I'm like, why isn't she using her second saber? Whatever, and I clearly she did the Anakin move there to take him out, which was pretty sick. And then against Balin, it actually made sense why she wasn't using the second saber. So I'm like, all right, that's fine. Well, but that would have been sick to see her go 2 sabers against 1. Maybe next time they fight. I think they're gonna fight again.
They're gonna have to. I like too with the Marok fight, how I don't know. It reminded me. Have you seen the 2011 Predators movie? Adrian Brody's in it. Walton Goggins.
I don't think so.
There's some Yakuza member in there.
Okay.
As a sword, and they do that same fight, but they're in like a field, and he goes up and Predator goes down low and cuts him across the stomach, just like how Merrick died.
I've seen that. Yeah.
I was like, all right, I know exactly what they're doing, and this is sick.
Yeah.
And then too, when Ahsoka first, after she activated her saber and she had down by her side, behind her.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, this has Dave Filoni written all over it.
It was very samurai. It was the lightsaber duels, man. They lived up to the hype. Episode 4, I know we had been talking about it since the first week. That's gonna be the big one, and it was, man. It was huge. I loved every second of it. I was glued to my TV, and I'm just I'm so ready for. Obviously, episode 5. I think we're gonna get a lot of weird stuff. I think that's when it's gonna get start to get a little weird, which is good. It's good when Star Wars is weird. I think Dave is one of the only people who are willing to let it go there.
Yeah, Dave's the only one. I don't know if this is the wrong way of saying it. Dave's the only one who has the balls to go outside of the realm of possibility with things.
Right, but he doesn't. But he doesn't break canon when he does it. I mean, you could say the World Between Worlds is definitely a little far fetched in terms of what old established canon was, but at least he's not doing I mean, I'm just gonna go back to The Last Jedi and like the hyperspace ramming and like all that stuff. Like,
yeah,
that's a massive plot hole for the rest of the trilogies. Like, you know what I mean?
Literally, Rogue One came out the year before, and they did the same thing, but Vader's Star Destroyer came in, and it was, I don't know if it was just a little bit too soon, but when it came in and destroyed all the ships, they're about to jump because how close they were.
And those
They're
that
both
did
exiting.
jump did exit okay, but like those that were attempting to jump like didn't. Yeah, they just like hit him like a brick wall. They didn't slice through him and destroy the whole fleet. Like,
I mean, the effect looked cool. I can't lie. The whole maneuver effect was great, but the
visually
behind it was like, yeah, I was like, this doesn't make any sense.
But
I love, I love how they did it in this episode because it shows like, I mean, they have what was it, 7 hyperdrives,
right?
Like super, not even normal ones, super Star Destroyer ones,
right?
So for it to act like an EMP makes perfect sense in my brain. Like, all right, no, that like the power coming from behind that would make perfect sense.
Right, and the ships weren't destroyed by the hyperdrive. They were destroyed because they got thrown off course and ran into each other. So it wasn't like a I don't know. You know, Dave gets it is all I'm going to say, like, and I think he's willing to do some crazy stuff that we haven't seen before, but like he keeps it in the realm of like Star Wars possibility is like the thing. Whereas like I think other directors who have come in the Disney era have played it really safe and been like they just try to stay within what George established, or if they do try something out of left field like Ryan, it just doesn't land. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and Dave is like, he gets it, man. He just gets it. Like, he's willing to take things and do something crazy. Like, we got an Inquisitor made out of like Night Sister magic. Like, we've never had that in live action. Like, obviously we had Savage in Clone Wars, but like, no, that's different. And I like it. It's like fresh and innovative. It's cool.
And like, I think like my top 3, like as of right now, like Star Wars directors has to be like Dave Filoni, and then for some reason Rick Famuyiwa just kills finales.
Right.
And I'm glad that he's doing the finale of this show too.
Oh, I know. I know.
Peter Ramsey needs to be doing more Star Wars stuff. Like that was
I agree.
like a perfect episode.
Peter Ramsey's Mando episode is one of my favorites. I mean, the pirates, man, on Navarro, that looked like a movie. I loved it.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was so fun.
Yeah. That was
besides the fact that the ship disappears in the next episode behind them, but
yeah, it should be sitting there on the mountain somewhere. Hey, that's not Peter Ramsey's fault. I don't want
to. No. It was just funny that like they just didn't like think about like continuity wise.
Whatever.
It's not Baraka. It's not gonna disappear in a day.
Yeah, it's so crazy because like that was I think episode 5, and then episode 6 was terrible for Mando season 3, and then 7 and 8 were pretty good. Yeah. It was the Lizzo episode. So like 5 is super solid. You get the pirates. 6, you're like, what is happening in this show? And then
I say
7 and 8, you're like, all right, it was pretty good.
I think when I was watching Theory's like watch party with it, he was like, what the fuck is happening? What is this? Like, I remember it was so funny because I was like, I don't know, it was like exactly what I was thinking at the same time. I was like, what am I watching?
Right.
Like, this is what we get with the last 3 episodes of the season is Lizzo playing fucking croquet in space.
Usually like episode 6 is like a banger too, because it's like you're gearing up for like the whatever the final 2 episodes are gonna be, and it was like nothing.
Yeah, because season 1 episode 6 was the prison break with Mix Mayfield, and then I believe could be wrong, but episode 6 of season 2 was the
Boba,
where Boba was it Tython episode?
Yeah, it was a tragedy because 7 was the Mayfield episode, the Rick Famuyiwa episode, which was incredible. And then 8 was the finale. Yeah. So, but even that, the Tython episode was wild.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was...
oh my god.
Boba, when he put his wrist rocket up to the stormtrooper's like stomach, I was just like, all right, this is like classic Boba.
That was so, dude. That like, that just like every time I talk about Mando season 2, I just think like nothing can beat it. But
I get like chills.
Yes,
like goosebumps.
Every week I was like, what is going to like? What can they possibly do next? And like, oh my gosh, it just kept going crazier and crazier.
Even the premiere episode with the crate dragon.
Oh my gosh, I know. And
like
Cobb Vanth wearing Boba's armor. Like, get out of here. That was so.
And then Boba just showing up at the end, just watching everything happen.
Yep. Oh, dude, that was that was a good time for Star Wars.
It's not even like a bad episode, but like the Frog Lady episode, like it was definitely filler, but it wasn't like terrible filler either.
Right, right.
Like I mean, we still got Dave Filoni, Trapper Wolf, and Carson Teva. So
I mean, it was the worst episode of the season, and even then, it was just like, all right, it's only the second episode, and it's like he's moving the plot along at least.
And it was still better than the Lizzo episode. I'm just
100%.
putting it out there.
100%. They had the Ralph McQuarrie like spiders. Like, no, it was cool. Yeah. It was cool. Yeah, dude, season 2 is on a whole nother level. Hopefully, Ahsoka's got 4 more episodes to kind of match that hype for me.
Yeah, and we haven't seen shit from them either, except like 4 or 5 shots of just quick little things.
We've seen Thrawn. We have 2 shots of Thrawn. We have
the Ghost in T6.
Yes, which could just be this upcoming episode 5, and I'm thinking Hera on Ceatos. So,
yeah,
which is obviously episode 5.
Yeah, and what with the Ghost and the T6, I could be wrong, but just based off of how the yellowish hue, it might be Lothal, because like in Rebels, that's how like the Lothal clouds kind of looked. But I mean, I'm talking on my ass right now.
I think they're gonna return to Lothal. That's possible. I mean, I don't know.
Episode 8 with Ezra, like going back to Lothal.
Yeah,
that would be my guess, but I don't know. I'm excited either way.
So, do you think we see Ezra and Thrawn on Tuesday?
No, I think Tuesday is going to be Anakin's episode. It's going to be the World Between Worlds, and I think that's going to be like 7-8, maybe at the end of 6, going into 7-8. I think next episode is going to have to do a lot with Anakin and the World Between Worlds, because now they got to give the story. Okay, what is this place? Like we already got it in Rebels, but a lot of them haven't seen Rebels, so now they got to explain it.
Yeah. I mean,
it's also Dave's episode.
It's a 50-minute episode. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a 50-minute episode. I think it would be... How wild would it be if we get not only all this Anakin, World Between Worlds, Ahsoka's, like, understanding of what Anakin, became and why things happened the way they did, but at the same time, we get Sabine's reunion with Ezra.
Yeah, or, like... Okay, so, yeah, because, like I'm thinking back to, like, Victory and Death a little bit.
Yeah,
I definitely think that like they could have Ezra in that episode now, especially since it's Dave. He doesn't pace his episodes poorly, I don't think, anyway.
No, like they move along, man. That like
compared to like how like Rebels and like some of the beginning Clone Wars stuff kind of was like kind of campy at times.
Yeah,
he's matured in that way where it's like not like that anymore.
Well, that was also supposed to be a kid's show. You know what I mean? Whereas this is a little different.
Turned very quickly. Yeah.
I mean, obviously they changed it throughout, but like I mean, it was supposed to be, I think, for the most part originally. Yeah. So, yeah, I think we could see Thrawn and Ezra just like a peep, like maybe even like towards the end of the episode, like just to set up episode 6. Like,
yeah,
they arrive at this new galaxy and there's Thrawn and Ezra. I mean, especially if your theory about Ahsoka coming out of the portal on the Chimera.
Yeah,
there's no way we don't see Thrawn if she comes out on the Chimera.
And that's what I'm thinking too. Like, okay, like if the Chimera was badly damaged when they brought out the hyperspace. I mean, even the bridge where they were, the windows are smashed in. So how did they survive going through hyperspace with that? My think would be that Ezra and Thrawn might have went into like the temple, what the temple was, because it was just a big ass room.
Yeah.
So they could be. That's like the one spot that's still like, inhabitable in the ship. So when Ahsoka comes through, she sees Thrawn and Ezra. I don't know. That's
I've seen a lot of things about like those like tentacles like coming through the window, obviously, but like don't those have like blast shields? Remember like when Grievous's ship got the like stuff blown out in episode 3 and then like the blast shields came up and like covered the windows?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's right, but then there wouldn't be holding on to Thrawn anymore either, and Thrawn was trying to kill Ezra.
That's true, but he did lose the gun.
I mean, yeah, Thrawn was already shooting him in the back, and Ezra has like he had the blaster, the E11, but then he dropped it to hold the blast door behind him shut from the the Death Troopers
or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he's also using his other arm to hold the Purrgil in place. So I don't know, because if Thrawn got loose, he'd be kicking Ezra's ass hand to hand wise. I full-heartedly believe so. Unless Ezra was using the Force to push him back.
That's the thing. Ezra's got the Force, so unless he's got Simis Lamari hanging around on the ship somewhere. But hey, I think it's very possible by time we see Thrawn, he already found the Islamari in this other galaxy.
Well, and two, I was going back last night, or sorry, this morning, and recording my stuff for my video coming out. On Thrawn's ship, like in his room. Obviously, we know the Islamari are there, but then also it shows the planet in the middle of it, like where like their home world is.
Yeah,
and I completely forgot about that because when I watched back the first time, Thrawn was just sitting in his chair and he was blocking it. But he walks over to it when he's talking to Ezra, telling him, like when he's captured, telling about his failure and how he's gonna wreak havoc on Lothal. The planet is there, so he definitely knows where they are.
Well, then they're probably not in the new galaxy then if he already knows where they are, because they're going to be on Merkur. If they keep it, tied with Legends, they'll be on Merkur, which maybe once he gets back to the new galaxy, he's going to be like, I need to go to Merkur and get these things,
Well, especially too that if he's not to deal with Luke Skywalker, I mean.
Yeah, that's the thing. Thrawn probably doesn't even know about Luke because he's been in this other galaxy. Like while this stuff goes down, like,
I mean, unless there's some way that Morgan could tell him about him, but at the same time, he's gonna come in and be like, oh shit, because he according to the new canon books, he fought alongside Anakin on Batuu during the Battle of Batuu.
Right.
So they know each other. Now he's like, oh shit, now I'm having to deal with his son. That could be
10
times
he
more
knows
powerful,
Anakin became Vader too, and he's like one of the only few people that knows that.
Yeah,
so
that way able to figure it out.
Yeah.
Quick, I was looking up. So, because from what it looks like on like a Wikipedia, Islamari homeworld, it almost looks the same as like the recreation in Rebels. So it definitely is possible that they're sticking with Merkur.
Okay.
Because it looks very similar, like from like the Rebels adaptation of what the planet looked like. From what it looked like on Wikipedia, it's pretty similar.
All right.
So,
well, then, I mean, yeah, he's not, like, think about that. He's probably not going to have the Islamari now, then. He'd probably get them once he gets back to the galaxy. Which...
I mean, at the same time, Thrawn could be weird and have him in a cage in some random-ass room, too.
He could have already had him on like Chimera.
Yeah, they could just be, like, how he had the assassin droids, like, just sitting in there, like, waiting for him to go train.
Yeah.
Like, I guess anything's possible because it's Thrawn. He's so unpredictable. I mean, I never would have expected him to have a big ass room where he could just recreate like the World Between Worlds entrance.
I mean, if you think about it, these Star Destroyers are massive, so it's possible. There's a lot of possibilities to what they could be doing on the Star Destroyer. I really hope they still have the Chimera though when we see them. I hope it hasn't like crashed or something. You know what I mean?
I would I would think they would have to crash land, and it would be like the ship would be inoperable when it comes to like trying to do like space travel, but still having like life support functions and like kind of like how when in Mando season 2 episode with Pershing when they went onto the Star Destroyer and we're going through and stealing this stuff, like it's still like, or even like on Baraka when in Bad Batch when they went to go take the inhibitor chips out with Rex, the Venator was still half operational throughout certain parts of the ship.
Yeah, it's just
so
crashed basically.
There's definitely
but
there's definitely still possibilities.
The only reason I was really thinking about it though is because like that Eye of Sion could easily be a docking ring for a Star Destroyer. It's big enough.
I didn't even think of that.
Well, it looks like one of the Jedi like dock. You know what I mean? Or the Jedi hyperspace rings that they used to use for the little Jedi ships. So I mean, that's what it reminds me of. So I'm thinking like, boom, you stick a Star Destroyer in there, they're gonna get that thing back to the galaxy. I mean, if he came back on the Chimera, that would be sick. I just like
because then like I didn't even because like I know like Jedi like the hyperspace transport ring, but I didn't even think like they could just fit the Chimera like the nose of it in it and pull it along. I didn't even think about that because that'd be cool that they could just dock right on the Chimera.
Yeah,
and we
that
did
way they
see
can
that
bring his whole entire crew back. You know, whatever he has left of his crew at least.
And we know that it can go inside. It's big enough or small enough to fit into planets.
Yeah,
because it was lowered into Cietos. So, I still want to see them like if we see Thrawn and Ezra, I still want to see like Thrawn with the long hair and like them like having like to survive in a forest together, like some kind of like dense forest, like where it's like. Where like they're almost having to like hide out from the indigenous there because like there's no other way for them to survive.
I feel like
they have to like work together.
I feel like we could see Ezra in that state, but I think Thrawn's gonna have an army already, man. I think he's like,
really?
Especially because
he's fully ready.
Oh yeah, the fact that he's already communicating with Morgan, because she's like, Thrawn's calling out to me, right? Like, he's already working with her like Night Sister ancestors. Clearly, there's no way he could reach out to her via across the galaxy without like someone who can help in that situation. And if you go back and listen to the voice that she hears when she says that, it's a female voice. So I think it's a Night Sister. I just think
that's what I was thinking. I'm like, is it actually like, is she hearing Thrawn, or is she hearing her like ancestors being like you need to go to this place and find him?
That's what I think.
Because she knew where the stronghold was in Arcana.
Yeah,
she knew about the map being there. She just needed Ahsoka to open it.
Right. I think she's hearing her ancestors saying like, okay, you need to go get Thrawn, but like, why would they be helping Thrawn unless he's already working with them? You know what I mean? If he's like out in the middle of nowhere trying to survive, like how would they even know who Thrawn is and why like she needs to find Thrawn? I definitely think
maybe
Thrawn is fine. And plus, okay, remember the clip we saw of him? There's like a gold/white like stormtrooper in the background. Like those guys aren't just gonna come out of
it was
nowhere,
where it was like the clones like in the fucking the LATs, how they had like the helmets where it was like open, like the mouth was open.
Yeah.
The like,
it was like
pilot helmets
section right
that's,
here.
Yeah. That's how it, like, at least to me, that's how it looked.
Yeah.
Like, but at the same time, it also, I mean, people were saying it's like could be like undead stormtroopers, which would be cool to see, because I mean, I doubt a lot of his crew probably survived.
I imagine a lot of his crew survived, but like maybe the armor just came back, like, you know, just wasn't intact, and they had to make modifications or whatever. Like that would
be sick.
That's what I think would be sick. But if he has his crew still, and if he's working with Night Sisters, there's no way he's going to be stranded out in like the forest trying to survive in my eyes. But Ezra would have to be. I mean, Ezra's going to have to be on the run, right? Like, there's no way Thrawn's going to let him just live with him on the ship. Like, that's not going to happen.
Well, unless, because I'm just thinking, like, if, like, there's the only way for them to survive is to work together. That's, like, where I was thinking with it. But if Thrawn already has, like, that army and is, like, on the hunt for Ezra's going to be having to hide out. I was also thinking, because you said, like, how, like, they'd have to, like, repair their armor and stuff. I was thinking, like, Mr. Bones. Like, do you know what Mr. Bones?
No.
Not sure. If you get time, I definitely Google Mr. Bones. It's a old protocol droid, not protocol droid. Sorry, the battle droids. That got like outfitted with. Got like outfitted with like different parts of armor and was like a menace, like an assassin.
Okay. Is this in canon or is this like a comic or what is it?
It used to be. Hang on.
Okay. I do not know anything related to Star Wars called Mr. Bones. That one doesn't ring any bells.
I'll just send you this real quick. It's definitely interesting, but he's like, I don't know. I just was thinking, like, okay, if they're gonna have to modify their armor, like kind of how we saw in Bad Batch Season 2, with the clones, that were forgot the name of the planet, where they were. It was like the Imperial Storehouse where they had all the new Stormtrooper armor and stuff.
Oh yeah.
They had to like wrap their armor to keep themselves warm. And I was just thinking, like, if they had like repurposed. No, okay, it is canon. Sorry, it did load. It's canon. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. I'll let you take a look at that later.
All right, interesting. No, I haven't heard of that, so I'll check it out.
But I would just like love to see them trying to like almost like MacGyver things together to make them work.
Yeah, just to like have like some sort of army. I mean, they'd have to like patch all this shit together, like armor and. I mean, kind of like the Mandos that were living on Mandalore still. Like they like, patched so cool. all their armor together, like different parts.
Skinny Pete with the super battle droid.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Headpiece as the shoulder. Like that was so cool.
Right, like that's that kind of stuff. I like to see that in Star Wars. You're not like it's not always like clean cut. It looks like the universe is lived
out of the norm.
Yeah, right.
So I kind of wanted to bring up how do you feel about Marok and his death? Or his supposed demise.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely like accepting of it. I'm not like, oh man, like I was wrong, you know. Like I don't give a shit if I was wrong at all.
It's not Ezra.
No, yeah, it's like it's not Ezra. It's not a Star Killer. Like I like that it like wasn't just a nobody. Like it's because it's still interesting, right? Like it's still this is like okay. I think even Shin was like surprised, which is kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, I don't think Shin knew.
Yeah.
Because to look at her eyes, she was like, "What the fuck?"
Right.
Like
So
she
like
definitely did not know.
I think that we're about to see some weird like Night Sister magic shit, and like it might even shock like Shen and Balin to some degree, which
Yeah.
is gonna be cool. So
Because Balin was even like saying like witchcraft to when the dome got activated.
right.
Like, yeah. And then too,
So
like
I don't know,
with
man.
like when the smoke was leaving his body, you could see his bones shrink down. That's why I'm thinking like he used his description was like a former Inquisitor.
Right.
So I'm thinking he was one that died, and then they used the Night Sister magic to bring him back. Kind of like how um in Rebels when Darth Maul and Ezra went and got the Darksaber,
Right.
and Kanan and Sabine tried to stop them. When they got like reanimated, like they're still like living, but they're reanimated and taken over by Night Sister magic.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I was looking at it.
That's the way I see it too. I mean, he definitely was a former Inquisitor, I think, and that's so it still adds to the question, like, okay, who was he?
But
like, I mean,
him also still being force sensitive, being dead. That to me that was like holy shit. That's like
yeah,
that's some powerful Night Sister magic.
that's the big part
Being
because
yeah.
if they can reanimate people, let's say stormtroopers or whoever, and like have them have the Force in some way, like. Oof, man,
I mean, they could bring back
be...
Vader at that point, and it's just gonna be even worse.
like that's when things start to get a little crazy, I think. So I don't know, man. It's like,
yeah. One people in my Discord was saying that it's it could be I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it's like a flared a Nitzen.
Yeah, I saw that too. I don't know.
I don't really know too much about that.
I don't either. And I was like looking at it, I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I'm pretty sure it's just Night Sister magic, so I'm not gonna like entertain it too much. Yeah. I mean,
I was thinking because like the way that it looked and everything reminded me of that scene on Dathomir, but also like in Jedi Fallen Order, how like the Night Sisters were coming back to life,
right,
and like attacking Cal.
Right, it's definitely it's got to be Night Sister
yeah.
magic, dude. The green smoke is almost matches exactly what we saw in Rebels and in like even the Clone Wars with Savage and stuff like
Mother
that.
Tells
so,
him,
like,
yeah.
I definitely think it's Night Sister magic. I think Morgan probably did it. I would have to imagine.
Yeah. No, there's Morgan
because there aren't any other Night Sisters as far as we know. At least in the core galaxy.
Well, yeah, and Marin is on Tanalorr with Cal, so
wherever Marin is, wherever Cal is, if they're still around, that's a whole nother thing, man. I don't know. We've never really talked about that, but like, does Cal ever show up in the Mandoverse, or is it like they're gonna finish the games and then like maybe?
I want Cameron Monaghan, while he's still young enough to do it, be able to do it.
Yeah, well, I think he'd be young for the character right now. Like, I mean, if we're talking Mandoverse era, right? If he was gonna play, or Empire era, then of course he matches, I think, pretty well. But like, if he's gonna play Mando era, like he should be, what, almost 20 years older than he is in the game. 15 years older. Cameron, I don't think looks.
Okay, so Cal was 13 during Order 66. So yeah, roughly around probably his late 40s by this time. So I guess you're right. I just don't want like him to be like, no, like I'm too old to play this character now in live action.
I mean, I think you give him like 5-10 years, he's gonna be perfect to play it.
I thought you were gonna say like give him like 5 to 10 mil, and he'll be saying yes anyway.
No, I mean that too, but yeah, I mean I would like to see him and Marin, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I think his story is gonna end in the games. I really do.
This is to go way fan fictiony, but Marin and Morgan Elsbeth having a full on like Night Sister fight, like with magic.
That'd be cool.
Like, I feel like I don't because you saw all of Loki, right?
Yeah,
season 1.
Season 1. Mm-hmm.
Like I'm thinking like in the Void when the Lokis were all fighting together against the Aboleth. Like I'm thinking like that like scale of like magic, like with those two fighting.
Yeah, it'd be cool. I mean, it definitely give us something new too, that we haven't really seen in Star Wars.
Like,
so.
And it's so unexplored too, like Night Sister magic and like all the things that can be done with it. We've only seen like a small glimpse, at least in my opinion, like a small glimpse of what actually can come of it.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I guess the actress who plays Morgan Elsbeth did an interview the other day. I don't know if you heard about
Yeah.
this. Like, and she said something about along the lines of like her and Ahsoka like are gonna fight. Like, all right, give me that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. They're gonna get a rematch. I like, and because I don't think Morgan Elsbeth at that time wanted to reveal to Ahsoka that she was a Night Sister.
That's what I think too.
I don't think Ahsoka knew either, because she willingly let herself get captured so that Balin could bring her back.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if Morgan Elsbeth wasn't wanting to get captured, she wouldn't have with the Night Sister magic. She would have done something to at least get away.
Yeah. I'm still not sure that Ahsoka knows even now, though. I haven't heard her say anything about it, so
It's true. She might not know. But at the same time, too, like, I know that like Morgan Elsbeth gave her the location of Arcana because she needs her to open it. But
right.
It's just like, I don't know. I feel like if Morgan didn't want to get captured, she wouldn't have gotten captured. At least in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just feel like, because it feels a little too orchestrated, like with Balin and Shin showing up, and at the time where the transport ship is fully, like, away from Home One and everything as well. Like, it's totally nowhere.
No, definitely
like, it feels
was
a little
like,
too like planned.
She was just kind of like chilling in there too when she got rescued.
Yeah,
She's
like
just kind of like, all right, you're here, cool.
Yeah, like she was just like checking her watch, counting down the time for when Balin was gonna open the door.
Right.
And the fact that Balin was able to open like scomp link the door like with like ease too.
Oh yeah.
It's just like insane. Like
I feel like Balin is, you know, looking at like his Force abilities and stuff, I feel like he's pretty strong in the Force, but something tells me he still doesn't have like all the training, so that's why he's tapped into the dark side a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's what's helping him get his strength.
That's what Ezra had to do in season 3 is tap into the dark side to learn these new abilities because Kanan wouldn't teach him them.
Right.
But Kanan didn't also know how to do them either. But with Balin too, like the fact that he was able to like look into Sabine's mind and read her thoughts without even having to do the like Kylo Ren thing, like he was able just to like close his eyes and know it.
Yeah.
It was just and then use that against her too.
Oh yeah, watching him
Balin's
like
just
talk to Sabine and convince her of like, okay, this is like your only chance, because like it was either that or die, basically. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, and then the fucking shit grin after she gave him the orb too when he
yeah.
looks at her. It's like, oh, you like you're a prick. Like,
dude, he's good, man. Ray Stevenson is killing it in that role.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a bummer that we lost him, because I would love to see more Balin, but it's such a bummer, man.
And then seeing him play like Gar Saxon to this is like a 9-day difference.
Right.
Like it doesn't even feel like the same person, which it shouldn't, but at times like it does.
Right.
Like when I hear like half of the stormtroopers and rebels sound like Zeb, I'm like, all right, I know that's Steve Bloom.
Yeah.
Just right off the bat. Or when I hear like D. Bradley Baker as Ezra's dad, I'm like, oh yeah, that's Rex. It's just, but like with Gar Saxon and Balin, it's like, it's almost like, I don't know, how Lars Mikkelsen normally talks versus how he talks as Thrawn. It's just,
it's like a whole different thing. I mean, it's the same when you hear like a Sam Witwer. You know, Sam Witwer's so good as Maul, like you don't even really notice that it's like it's Sam. I mean,
well, after going back and rewatching the Mortis arc, I could hear it. I could definitely hear where like Maul
when he does the sun,
where the sun turned from the sun into Maul, how he turned that. Like, there's like certain parts in it where he would start like yelling. I'm like, oh, that sounds like Maul. But then I could see we're like, okay, no, this is different. This is more like Sam going towards like Galen Merrick a little bit.
Yeah.
But then
his Maul voice is great to me. Like I never for a second think when I see Maul on screen like, oh, that's just Sam's voice. Like, you know what I mean? It's Maul.
When I hear it, I'm like, that's Maul.
Yeah.
Like in Solo, I'm like, no way they got Sam to come in.
I know. That was cool.
Yeah.
Too bad they couldn't continue that story.
Yeah, and the fact too that they were asking Sam like, okay, what saber should he have? Because they were gonna have him have the Phantom Menace saber. And he's like, well, no, you got two options because you lost that. You got like a new Inquisitor one, or you got the one from Clone Wars where it's like the half saber.
Yeah.
And it was funny that they like asked him, okay, what should we do with the character? Because we don't know what to do. It was kind of cool that like Sam got to go and be like, no, this is what you should be doing, or if you want to go this route, this is what you need to do.
Right.
And it was just cool to like learn that Sam had that much influence on it already, just for being the voice of him.
Yeah.
Right then and there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, another good voice. God, I don't know his name, but the guy who plays the governor, he's in Ahsoka, like episode 1 or whatever.
Yeah, Ryder Zadi, Nancy Brown. He voices Savage Opress.
Yes, he was Savage.
Yeah,
That's pretty good. Because
yeah.
I will say this: when he plays Ryder, I kind of hear Mr. Krabs a little bit, but but when he's playing Savage, man, I no idea, no clue.
Honestly, for me, whenever I hear Clancy Brown, instantly I think of Punisher because he played General Schoonover in the Punisher show, and then also too, now seeing him in John Wick 4, I'm like, it's the guy from John Wick.
That's so funny.
But no, I didn't like. I hate
Mr.
that I got.
Krabs.
I don't. The thing is, though, I don't really hear it though. I don't like this. Is the thing. Like, I don't really hear Mr. Krabs that too much.
Oh, I do when he talks. Ryder, I do.
You know,
it cracks me up.
I hate that I got spoiled 20 minutes before the episode came out that Ryder was in it.
Oh yeah.
Like, I would have just seeing Clancy Brown as Ryder and then him being like the new governor too. I'm like, okay, that definitely fits Ryder. Like that's
he was the governor before what is her name? Price.
Yeah, Price.
Price. She took over. Before she took over,
Price.
He was the governor. And then he had it taken from him. So now he's just taking it back. So that's cool.
I mean, but like the thing is, like I would have thought like, okay, maybe he wants to just like take a step back and like wants to just now that he's free. But the fact that he's back, I'm like, all right, no, that's cool. And then to have Jack Hell as a senator, which I thought Jack Hell was hinted at to being force sensitive too. So
maybe
in the Imperial Academy,
because
Jack Hell
and one of the ones
that
names
they were
brought
up.
Like, we're gonna have the Inquisitor come and
because they called the Grand Inquisitor for his special training.
Yeah, right.
It's like So I don't know. It was cool seeing him in there. I did not think Jack Hell was going to be in there either.
Right, but I mean, there's maybe a reason they had him name dropped. I mean, maybe he returns at some point. At Luke's Academy or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't want to say that it's just like a cameo. I think Dave always has something planned for a reason.
I do too.
I
think he plans
the seeds go back to the very beginning. Like it's all planned out very methodically. Because he even said, like Katie Sackhoff, like this all goes well, could be playing live action Bo-Katan in the future.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh yeah, like yeah, right, Dave. But then it happened.
Right.
So it's cool to see that like Dave is able to pull all the strings as well.
I think Dave's been looking for his chance to do what he's doing now for a long time. So I think he definitely has planned things out methodically, and I mean we're getting it. We are getting his live action vision of what like Star Wars, the future of Star Wars is. I think even I've been thinking about this new galaxy a lot, and the fact that they're like Star Wars in general, like in current canon, has kind of like tied themselves up with the sequels, like in the way that things have to be going forward.
Yeah.
But the introduction of this new galaxy, Dave can say, let's say at the end of this Thrawn conflict, there's a bigger conflict out in this other galaxy, and Ezra and Ahsoka and company are like, okay, we're going to go out there and try to stop that. And Luke is maybe going to stay back in the core galaxy and just, we know what happens to him, obviously. But I think there's a way for him to get all of his characters, the ones he cares about, into this new galaxy and leave them there so that they can be other stories like separate from the sequels, if that makes sense.
And Dave also said too, he's like, Grogu does not have to end up in the sequels.
Right.
He does not have to go that route.
He could be in this new galaxy.
And with that too, like, good question: do you think we're going to see Mando at all in this season?
I don't. I hope not. Honestly, I love Mando. Don't get me wrong. I just there's no reason he should be in this season. I don't think.
I was seeing some people say like some reports on Twitter that's like, oh my god, it's leaked. Mando's going to be in episode 5, and I was like, it would feel so out of place to me for him just to show up randomly.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the only way.
Look, because Ahsoka's on her own mission separate from that.
Right, but Carson Teva is there. And Mando's one of his good buddies. So if he needs help, who does he call?
Well, at the same time, like, Carson knows Zeb. They were talking.
True.
And it's reported that Zeb's not going to be in the show at all. Which is kind of sad.
I don't know, man. That's crazy if Zeb doesn't even show up after, like, having the little
that's the last member.
Mando 3.
That's the last member of the Ghost Crew.
I don't know. I still like the reports, the leaks. I'm still not sure like what to believe and what not to believe. You know what I mean? Like, because there's Like the initial rumor
yeah.
was like Anakin wasn't going to be in episode 4, and then he shows up in episode 4.
Yeah, it was gonna be 5, 7, 8, and now he's in 4.
Yeah. So,
I knew the second I saw the episode when I saw when Harris said like thanks for tagging along, Carson. I was like, oh, Joe's gonna freak out when he hears that. So I was like, Joe's gonna be happy.
love my boy Carson, man. I
love that he's like the connective tissue between like the shows.
Yeah, like he's like, dude, I love a good New Republic X-Wings pilot, man. He's killing it. But yeah, I think Carson is there. It's like that's not far fetched, but I'm not like
no.
There's no reason to shoehorn like Mando into it unless they need Grogu to use the Purgle. Because he has a connection with animals like Ezra does.
Well, Ahsoka does too, because in Tales of the Jedi, when she was younger, she used beast control to not get eaten by the
that's true.
the saber-tooth.
Yeah.
Because she was able to ride it back as a baby.
Right, I remember. That was cool. But
yeah,
we've never seen her control something like Purgle, I guess, but we've never seen Grogu.
I mean, I guess that's
Grogu
true,
had
but
the Rancor.
I mean, I was just about to say, yeah, Grogu was able to tame a Rancor, so I mean, that's definitely true. And she could speak with Grogu too, because like Mando can't, but she can.
Right, she can speak with him through the Force.
And we saw Ezra doing that with the Loth Wolves. Yes. They were talking to him, but only him.
Yes.
So
I'm gonna say it's possible. I hope not. Still, like if it happens, I'm not gonna be mad. I really won't be mad, but I'm gonna be like, Mando again, like at another show. Like, come on.
I saw something too that like for like the Heir to the Empire movie, Bo might go to like Sabine to see if she can somehow try and fix the Darksaber. Or sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I mean
something
Sabine
like that, like along the lines
build a new Darksaber. I could see that.
Or like something along those lines. Going like, yeah, like no, that could be possible because like Sabine, I mean, she built the machine that killed a lot of the Mandalorians, including half of her family.
I mean,
we got. Go ahead. See, we got the reveal that her family all died on Mandalore.
Yeah, that was
I have to believe. Yeah, I have to believe that like Ulrich, Tristan, and Ursa all died on the Night of 1,000 Tears.
Yeah.
Which also then ties into Mando with Moff Gideon. So I love how everything's tying together.
Oh yeah,
so like effortlessly.
I mean, is she gonna be mad at Bo though? Because she gave Bo that saber, you know. She put Bo in charge. So like, I think there could be some animosity there.
I think, you should be mad that Bo failed, but at the same time, maybe we'll look at it like Bo was able to fully then restore balance to Mandalore after like defeating Moff Gideon, and now trying to reunite the clans.
Yeah, I could see Bo coming to Sabine for help on the saber, and Sabine initially declining probably. Maybe when she sees what they've done on Mandalore, though, maybe she changes her mind. I wouldn't mind seeing the armor build a new Darksaber though too, because the armor is pretty badass with the Beskar, you know. I mean, so I wouldn't mind that. But that the Darksaber thing, maybe it doesn't return. Maybe it's like that's a symbol of like an old style Mandalore, and
I'd be perfectly fine with that too.
Yeah, I would. I'd be fine with that. But man, I'm like, now I just keep thinking about what if Mando is in episode 5. What I would be fine. No, what I would be fine with is if we just see some like Grogu Mando thing in the World Between Worlds, like through a portal, like I'd be fine with that. That's I would love to, totally different situation.
Love for her to like walk past one of the portals and it's just like did with his like blaster like Lady Tano, like when they're on. That'd be cool. I mean, I'd be fine with that. Would be cool. Yeah. So there's ways to do it tastefully. There's ways to not like be like we're just chucking Mando into everything. So like I love the episode in Book of Boba about how he just walks in to the meat factory and just starts killing everybody. With the
that episode is so good. like it's not a Book of Boba Fett episode, but it's good. I mean, that is just...
and then going from that to Mando season 3, I was just like, what? Where did the beat get missed?
They like used a good chunk of the story in Book of Boba Fett. Like that's clearly what happened. Like when you watch it, if those 2 episodes were in Mando season 3, like that's the
beginning
way better season. You know what I mean? They throw that in the beginning. They go to Mandalore with Bo, because that episode was great when he went to Mandalore with Bo. You take out some of the fluff in the middle. Lizzo.
Get the Lizzo episode out of here. Like
the big bird taking the kid, like No one cares. No one cares.
I mean, like it was cool to see like that like also too like how like they ran out of jet fuel in their jetpacks. Like that added like a sense of like realism to it for me.
I'm fine
like,
with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like the whole episode, I'm just saying it was like a 25-minute episode. I mean, it was just like
yeah, it was stupidly short.
Yeah, like that episode and the Lizzo one are just like wow, unneeded. And I mean, we could have. I'm trying to think of Mando season 3 is so much tighter with those Book of Boba Fett episodes in them.
Yeah,
you know, I mean,
because if those 2 episodes started out the season, everybody would have lost their shit.
Oh my god, yeah, dude, can you imagine?
But then, yeah, because then too, like at the same time, why? Because it didn't feel like Grogu was supposed to be reunited with Din so soon. They said it was a 2-year time jump, but it's not explained like that, and it doesn't feel like that.
It feels fast. It feels really fast. The way it was shot, the way it was presented to us, you know, through a different show.
Yeah.
Like if we didn't see them reunite, I would have been fine with even. I think it even would have been better if in Book of Boba Fett we see the Luke episode, right, and we see him basically get this choice or these options or whatever. And if they just left it as a cliffhanger for a full year, we'd all be like, "Oh wow, is he gonna choose Mando? Is he not?" But the fact that in the finale he just shows up on Tatooine is like ridiculous to me. Like,
yeah, it's just it feels planted in. Like, like I was one of the people that was like, okay, I want them to go through a whole season without Grogu and have him come back in at the end, maybe even with like a growth spurt.
Yeah,
because like Yoda was just training Jedi when he at 100 years old, and Grogu's already halfway there, and he's still an infant.
Yeah,
so he's got to have some sort of growth spurt, and I really wanted to see him have like Mando's about to die in the finale, and Grogu has a growth spurt and has to save Mando.
Yeah, that would have been.
I mean, it was
if Grogu had his like Empire Strikes Back moment with Luke, like he was like, I gotta go save my friend, you know, and even though he hasn't finished his training, he still goes. Like,
and I think Luke would honor that, knowing because of what it's history rewriting itself once again.
Right, and like Luke goes with him. Like, imagine how incredible that would have been.
Yeah,
get out of here. Like, no, that would have been too
the Pikes would have been running back
Ugh.
if they saw Luke Skywalker on Tatooine.
Yeah, no, there was definitely better ways to do it, and it just it fell a little flat. But
in my mind,
I still like Book of Boba Fett. I'm never gonna say I don't like it. I mean, I think I like seeing the Tusken stuff. I like seeing I just like seeing Boba, man. I just Tamara's too good.
I don't hate the show. I just hate the way that like they just handled him in the show with certain things.
Yeah, they could have been a lot more ruthless. Like he was way too lax with like the people at Tatooine and like you know what I mean. Like if you're gonna run a crime organization, like you gotta like put your foot down.
What I'm just thinking about like Sopranos.
Yeah,
perfect example. Or even like Goodfellas. Like,
well, in an interview before the show came out, I think like Favreau like quoted like The Godfather. He's like, yeah, this is what I want it to feel like. Like, it doesn't feel like that.
It's not,
not quite.
Yeah, what it reminds me of is John Travolta in Pulp Fiction just standing around, looking around. That's kind of like how I felt Boba felt like for those episodes. A couple of them anyway.
He's like still, he is kind of like bumbling around, just trying to like figure out what he's doing.
Honestly, in my opinion, I think Chrysanthemum would have destroyed Boba when he ripped him out of the back to tank. Like, there have been no reason for Chrysanthemum not to break it, like not to like destroy Boba.
Yeah, it's probably true. I mean, Boba was resourceful in that fight, though. I don't know. That was another one where it's just like, wow. I don't know. It's so funny because like I like I said, I still like kind of look fondly back on the show. I think it was like there were some really great moments, but like there were some bad moments. I understand why people don't like it. I understand it.
I love Danny Trejo showing up too, just delivering a Rancor like with like the other huts. Like I thought that was just so cool, just like it being so randomly in there, but so randomly in there that it fit.
Oh
like,
my god, that was just typical Star Wars to me. Yeah, that was too.
Yeah,
funny.
And the fact that Danny Trejo was talking about like the Night Sisters of Dathomir, I was just like, all right, no, like this is like okay, no, like this is sick.
The part where the Hutts first showed up and they're like, they're like. Pop out this tablet. They're like, by decree, like we own this land, and like Boba's like, no, you don't. Like that was sick.
Like you had 7 years,
right? Like
what were we doing for 7 years?
I love those little like lore tidbits where like there's clearly a lot going on in the galaxy, you know what I mean? And like they
Yeah.
just kind of like show you in like the most subtle way. Like, by the way, there's like all this shit going down, and like people are just trying to fight for things over here while Mandalore's
Yeah.
dealing with this, and now Ahsoka.
You guys are just
dealing
chilling
with
in Nal Hutta, like you
Right.
like now you're coming over here. Like, and the same thing too.
yeah.
Like where's Zero the Hutt? Not Zero. Sorry. Where's Jabba's kid?
Oh yeah, yeah. What was his name?
Stinky. I mean,
Oh,
that's
that's
what
what
Ahsoka called him.
Ahsoka
Stinky.
called him,
That's what. That's always what I think of is just Stinky, because that's like what Ahsoka would call him.
Right.
But like, yeah, like where's Jabba's son? Like,
It's a good point.
know.
That would be cool to see if he showed up at some point. It was like, yeah, Boba, I'm taking this back, and like, dude, I really hope when we do revisit Boba Fett on Tatooine that he's like settled in. You know what I mean? Like he's like he's ruling that area. Like
I want when we see him next to him be like all right, like you realizing that like the respect way doesn't necessarily work, and that he's just back to being like more ruthless.
Yeah, I think and even in Legends, like Boba had this like mantras like it's just business, like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I want to see him
in
like do that. Like I want to see him like he's willing to take the job and he's gonna do it, but he's not a bounty hunter anymore, and I'm fine with that. I want him to rule, but I don't want him to like be easy on anyone. Like if they're not gonna listen, if they're not gonna go his way, I want him to like put the foot down.
They did it perfectly in Survivor. How he was like, all right, my quarrel's not with you, Jedi, and he just let Cal. Like, he's like, I'm not worried about you.
Yeah,
like, I love how like they did it in that, because that was like, all right, no, that's at least in my opinion, that's how Boba would have handled that. I mean, this is the same guy that fought Vader in Legends with the saber.
Right. I
And,
mean,
he barely got away, but still, like the fact that Boba was ballsy enough to do that.
Oh, Boba, that's the thing. He would take on anyone.
Yeah, he would go into a fight knowing he's gonna lose, but he'd still try anyway.
Yeah, I mean, dude, he's like, Luke gets his lightsaber back into the sail barge. Boba's like, "Fuck, I'm going out there, man." He just flies
Boba
off
goes
the
towards
sail
him.
Yeah, like
Boba goes towards him.
Right.
Like Boba's like not afraid to just go and do that. Like I would love
no, he's confident. I mean, that's Boba. Yeah, that's the Boba we know.
I don't even want to say it's like cocky confidence, because even like when Boba like the Boba arcs in Clone Wars, Boba wanted Mace Windu's head, and he was going through lengths to go through that, like going through the academy as an actual clone.
Yeah,
and standing in front of Mace and trying to blow up Mace's living quarters.
Right.
Like that's the Boba I want to see.
Right.
I mean when he showed up on Tython, like.
Oh yeah, like,
I was like, oh shit, that's yeah.
He's not taking any prisoners, man. They're all gonna die.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
I want to hear the seismic charge one last time before we're done with Boba altogether.
Yeah.
I need to hear it. I need to hear it.
He'll be in that movie. He'll be in that movie for sure. He better be.
He's got. I want him to be like the Talon Card of that movie almost.
Right.
Like,
I want him to be
if they don't do Talon Card.
He should be leading like the underworld in the movie. Like that's what Talon Card did in a way. I mean, he led like the group of smugglers against Thrawn because he realized that Thrawn was a threat to like their business. You know what they were trying to do.
Yeah. And didn't Talon also have the like wolf like creatures that could like hunt, like sniff out force sensitives?
Vornskers. They
I would not have pronounced that. I would not have been able to try to pronounce that.
I listen to the audiobooks, so that's the only reason I know for sure. But the Vornskers, he had them as pets, and they had a thing for the Force for some reason. Like they would basically get very vicious around like Force sensitives, but I think it was more of a reactionary thing than it was like we just don't like the Force. Obviously, like there was something that they could sense in the Force that made them aggressive, and that's why the Islamari, because they're both from Merkur, and that's why the Islamari evolved.
There's something about that planet all around.
Right.
It's just like
the Islamari evolved in a way that basically allowed them to block out the Force so that they didn't get hunted by the Vornskers constantly.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. There's actually like, a reason behind it.
There's reasons, yeah.
Dude, that's Timothy Zahn, man. He's such a good writer.
Yeah.
Like he's just, especially with Star Wars, he just gets it.
He knows what he's doing. He knows what he wants, and he knows how to execute it.
Yeah.
And he's like, for me, he's like Dave in the way where he just has the balls, be like, no, all right, this is happening.
Right.
And I want to like sideline really quick too. It's just like to go back to like the Ahsoka show a little bit. Do you think we're gonna see the Vong? I mean, they had the Clone Wars arc Dave was going to do the Vong arc in Clone Wars, but it got scrapped last minute. Like I'm thinking back to like Dave has been planning all this stuff for years, and how he would introduce it.
I would love to get at least a hint of the Vong like being in this other galaxy.
Yeah. For me, that's the only way they would do it right.
Right.
Because like it would be a question like, all right, well, with the sequels, where was the mention of it?
Right. Like we're not getting the Vong War, I don't think. Like we're not getting the Vong War in the galaxy. We're gonna get, I hope, like a mention of them or a hint of them being like, by the way, there's like a terrible species out here in this galaxy like that we are trying to avoid.
Because if they do the Air trilogy in one movie for Dave's movie, like the full trilogy, they could set it up at the end like, all right, no, there's this threat coming from another galaxy, and this is what we're gonna have to go and defend against.
Go and stop them.
Because if they try to do the Vong stuff with the just the first Air book, I don't think there's gonna be enough time in that movie.
There's no
fully
way.
Flesh that out.
There's no way. I like that idea. I think the Air movie is gonna be its own. It's gonna be the Thrawn campaign, right?
Yeah.
That's gonna be the Thrawn campaign. But I definitely think you're right. I think that basically after that's all over, Ahsoka, Ezra, maybe even Grogu and company are gonna be like, they're gonna need to go. I think they're gonna go to the other galaxy to fight the Vong instead of letting the Vong come to this galaxy because. Like you said, the sequels have no mention of the Vong coming. Like that would have decimated,
or even
the
like the Grisk at that point. And
right,
yeah. So like,
they have to go to the Vong, I think, or the Grisk, whatever. They have to go to this other galaxy to fight this threat, rather than them waiting for it to come. I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to be more of like we're going to prevent it rather than allow it to happen. And
I don't want to just be like connecting the dots, but like, I mean. And at the end of Rebels, obviously now in Ahsoka, Jason is spelled just like Jason Solo.
Right.
So, and if they're gonna do the Vong stuff, like how they were jumping from planet to planet, I don't necessarily think that Jason would turn to the dark side because I think they kind of gave that to Kylo a little bit, like that storyline.
Right.
But I think Jason
that was one of the worst Legends things. I mean, when he became Darth Caedus, like, not a fan. No, I'm not a fan. I know people are, but like it was like too like on the nose. Like, okay, now Jason's gonna turn to the dark side.
I think Jason will still be a pivotal role in the Vong War if it does come to play.
I agree. He should be. He should be a pivotal role. Yeah. But that's why I want a secret Skywalker child to go with him. I can't stress this enough. There's an opportunity here if they bring in Mara to have a secret Skywalker child that's also in this other galaxy.
Because it would explain why Luke is the way he is.
It would.
And it would make me feel better about like
I could feel
I would
so
feel
much better.
Yeah. I could sleep at night knowing like, okay, I can forgive it a little bit. Not fully, but just a smidge. Like I'm starting to like, okay, no, it wasn't planned, but they made it work. And
if Dave made it work, Dave made it work. That's the thing. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. And I mean Dave's the same guy that planted the seeds for Ventress and Quinlan to be together. So I mean it's doable, I feel like.
I think it is. I'm holding out hope, man. I mean, we got like still a few years from the movie, but I think
2027.
Yeah, I mean, if we get Mara and then in the upcoming shows, if she shows up in Skeleton Crew or
that would be sick. Yeah,
Ahsoka season 2 or something like, then I think we're on the right path. I think we're on the right path for a secret Skywalker child. That's what people were pissed about at The Rise of Skywalker. Like, you just killed the last, like, blood Skywalker with Ben Solo.
Yeah.
And now you're just going to say, okay, Rey has Skywalker's name? Like, no.
No, she's got Palpatine blood pumping through her veins.
Like, this is, like, not the way it needs to work. I'm just, like, there's a chance. There's an opportunity here. I hope Dave takes it. I really do.
I think because like in how was it Vanth?
Vane.
Yeah. How Vane is going to be in Skeleton Crew, that could set up like Talon Card. So like I said, like how it's like Goonies in space. That could set up like that like underworld way of doing things too.
Yeah, I also think it's possible. Let's say Boba isn't the Talon Card of this. I think Hondo could be if they're not going to bring in Talon. And Hondo, I think it's going to be in Skeleton Crew.
Oh yeah, he had. If he's not in it, I will be a little not like upset, but I'm like, all right. missed opportunity.
I mean, there's a pirate like subplot. Like, there's gonna be Hondo. Like, there's going to be Hondo in that show.
Well, and Hondo was on the siege of not Mandalore, the siege of Lothal, when they were going and fighting against, like Governor Price and Thrawn when they kidnapped Governor Price. Hondo was a big part of that. Same thing with I can't remember his name, but his Ugnaught friend that he had. Him and those three with Zeb were a pivotal role in Ezra getting to where he needed to be to go to the Chimera.
Right.
So for Hondo not to show up in some way, I feel like, because I mean, he apparently he's in the sequels, so Hondo definitely
right. We know he's alive because of Galaxy's Edge being canon.
Yeah.
Which he's in Galaxy's Edge, the theme park. So we know he's alive. I think we're gonna see him. It's just a matter of when, not really, really a matter of how or whatever. Like, he's gonna show up. We'll just see.
And if they don't have the voice actor, I'm gonna be a little upset.
Yeah,
like
I
just
agree.
doing the voice, because like to me, that voice of hearing Hondo from Clone Wars to Rebels being the same person, I'm like, no, like that's Hondo.
Right.
I mean, the only person I could be okay with, but I know they wouldn't do it, would be like Jack's, like Johnny Depp, like being like Jack Sparrow as
Johnny Depp would be kind of cool, but he'd be like, that might be a little too on the nose. Like, oh, we got a pirate to play the pirate. Like, yeah.
Like I don't think they would do that, but no, just like having Hondo and Ezra meet back up together in some way would be cool to see at least.
For sure. I think we'll see it. I do. It's just a matter of time, but. I do. Skeleton Crew is still one of the ones where I'm really interested in it, but I just have no idea like what that's even about. Like, I'm just like, I have no idea what this is, but it's
the same thing. Like,
it's a tie-in, so count me in.
I'm really excited too for like Rebel Moon to see like, okay, like what would they would have done, like how would this have been in Star Wars, and what would they would have changed?
Yeah, Rebel Moon is
like
cool.
like it looks so cool, and like the way that they're doing their own lightsabers too is like. It's interesting to see.
Yeah,
like I can see where like Zack Snyder wanted this to happen.
Yeah, that should be an interesting movie. I'm excited to see that. There's gonna be like a 4-hour cut or something like that. They're saying on Netflix.
Yeah, and there's one movie and then a second movie and then there's a game that's gonna tie into the third movie. I mean, I'm all here for it.
No, I'm more sci-fi. I'm always here for it. There's
I
another
want to see
one
the creator too.
The creator. I was about to say it's Gareth Edwards, dude. Rogue One director.
Rogue One.
Yeah, that looks good. That looks really good, actually. I mean, it's a typical AI plot that we've probably seen a dozen times now, but like the movie looks pretty visually stunning. So
I mean, I was one of the people that didn't really like Elysium, so I mean, if it's better than Elysium, I'm all here for it.
Yeah, Elysium, dude. I remember being so like excited for that because that was coming off the heels of District 9, I think, for Neil, and visually it was cool. I will say that. But my God, dude, that movie was a mess. Holy crap, that was a mess.
Same thing. I don't know if it was not Edge of Tomorrow. Tom Cruise. I don't remember the name of the movie. Oblivion, yeah, that movie for me, I was like, "What am I watching?"
Oh, I like Oblivion.
I got through it. I just didn't like. Okay, when I watched it though, I was a lot younger, so I didn't really understand it. I should probably go back and rewatch it. But at the same time, I was watching it, I was just like, I don't really.
Oblivion's not great, but it's got the M83 soundtrack, and it hits, man. It's a solid sci-fi, but it's not incredible. I'm probably overselling it honestly because it's not incredible by any means, but like, it's a decent sci-fi. But Edge of Tomorrow. You see Edge of Tomorrow?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's like, I don't know why I said Edge of Tomorrow when I was thinking of
Oblivion. Well, they came out around the same time. I remember that. They came out like right around the same time. And Oblivion kind of like overshadowed Edge of Tomorrow at the box office, which is a bummer because Edge of Tomorrow is the better movie for sure. It's a solid movie.
My dad was in Iraq at the time, and for Christmas he sent me like a CD that had like a bunch of burned like all the new movies that came out on them. So I remember I had Edge of Tomorrow and Oblivion, and then I think I had like Pain and Gain also on the same one. So it was just like
that one.
It was just like sweet all together. But the same thing like honestly like Transformers after Mark Wahlberg and the fourth Transformers, I just I just stopped watching it. Like I was like, all right, I'm done. I don't care anymore.
I like the first three. I mean, I don't love number 2. It's way too long, but I remember the hype being like, I went to the theater that night, we stayed in line all day and we were like, probably like, I mean, that was back when theaters used to do that, like midnight release, the line is wrapped around the building, like to see Transformers 2.
I remember Tron. That's what Tron was.
Oh, Tron Legacy? Yeah, dude, Tron Legacy. That's a good movie. You know what? People hate on Tron Legacy. That's a good movie.
No, I really love that movie. I love how like Linkin Park is like the main like I don't want to say like they're the main like composer, but how they made their entire album surround around
No, it's
that
Daft
movie.
Punk. Daft Punk made the.
Was it no? Because I'm just thinking like at the end like
Linkin
what
Park
I've
did
done.
Transformers.
What?
Yeah, Linkin Park
What am I?
did
What?
Transformers.
Hang
Daft
on.
Punk did Tron. They did all of Tron. They did the whole
Really?
soundtrack. Yeah.
Okay,
Both
I need
good.
to go back and rewatch the movies.
Both good.
Yeah.
Let's just leave it there though. Both the soundtracks were solid.
Well, and my dad showed me he showed me Four Brothers right before we saw Tron. So I was like, oh no, it's yeah, like I was like, oh, it's Cracker Jack from Four Brothers as like the main character in Tron.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh no, that's sweet. Like it's also it's such a great movie too, Four Brothers.
Yeah,
like,
that's a good movie.
I love the movie. Yeah. And then he's that same actor's also in Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, right.
And it's so weird because I'm
that
like,
one. Yeah.
it's on HBO Max. It's really good. It's like Sopranos if it was coming out now.
Okay.
Like in present
I'll
time.
check that out. Yeah,
it's really good. I really like it. Season 2 is coming out soon. But he's in it, and it's just weird because he's like a bar owner. He's like a goatee and everything. He's a country accent. I'm like,
really?
dude, like this isn't Cracker Jack. What am I watching?
Oh,
but it's
man.
cool because he acts. It's great in it. It has a lot of Sopranos actors in it too, and it's also written by a lot of the writers. Terrence Winter is one of them as well.
Okay.
So it's very cool. I really like it.
I'll check it out. Yeah, so that's an HBO show. Okay.
Yeah, HBO Max.
Right
I thought it was really cool. But some quick thoughts. Assuming before we end this, what are your predictions, mid-season predictions? I'm gonna make a video on this coming out Tuesday, I believe, like my mid-season predictions. But,
so, yeah, I mean, obviously we know we're gonna get a lot of Anakin. My predictions, I think we're gonna see Thrawn Ezra next episode. I do at least a glimpse.
Okay.
Set up episodes 6, 7, 8. I still think somehow Ahsoka is gonna get to the new galaxy, whether it's through the War Between Worlds, but I still think Hera and company are gonna join her there. Like, I don't see how they don't. I you know what I mean? Like, if she just goes by herself and it's just her, Sabine, and Ezra, that'd be kind of cool too. Like,
so yeah, because wasn't there a report like way back about like the Nodian Highlands, how there's a fight between Baylan, Shin, Ahsoka, Ezra, and Sabine, and Thrawn and Morgan?
Yeah, that's possible. So maybe Hera.
But we haven't heard anything about that since.
Yeah, I don't. Man, I don't know.
Because then also too, like
I think we're gonna see some epic battle, but I think Thrawn's gonna win. I think he's gonna win.
For them to set up Heir to the Empire, I think Thrawn has to win.
Yeah,
the good guys have to lose.
I agree.
Because for me there would be like no way. I mean, kind of like Empire, how Empire kind of ends off with like Luke losing.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get something like that. But do you think anyone dies? I mean, do you like, as far as your predictions, do you think anyone of note dies this season? I mean, I think Baylan does. I think Ahsoka
I would say
gets
like
the best
I was
of
about
them.
to say good or light, like
oh,
like
no, either way,
light.
either way. I mean, Morgan, Thrawn is not dying.
I mean,
Ezra though.
I hate to say it, Baylan I think has to die because there's no way for him to come back. So I think either that or Baylan. I don't think Baylan would just go off on his own and just be like chilling throughout the galaxy on his own afterward. I think Baylan is going to have to die to Ahsoka.
My worry is that they didn't resolve the Baylan thing when they had the chance to and shoot it.
Yes.
And that we're going to just get like a write out, in season 2 being like, oh, Baylan is gone. You know what I mean?
That's the thing I would hate. If that's the way they go about it, that's the thing I would be like, no, like, that's like, I feel like that would be like a fuck you almost. Like
yeah. I'd rather his story get resolved in some way, whether it's animation or if they didn't shoot it. You know what I mean? I don't know what they I don't know what they have, and I hope they have something though that they can use.
I mean, it could be like Avatar, where they where Carmela Soprano for a new Avatar, she shot all of her scenes for all 4 of the movies when they first filmed for Avatar. She said she forgot about Avatar being a thing in general because she thought the movie was a bomb because she never heard anything about it for 4 years.
Yeah.
So they filmed all of her stuff 4 years ago before the movie came out. So I'm just thinking like maybe they did film everything before then. Like hey, can we get these shots for the stuff later?
I would hope so, man. I hope they got something at least. But like, I mean, you don't think anything that tragic's gonna happen, so like you can't blame them if they didn't. You know what I mean? Like,
and you can't plan for that to happen. Right. So yeah. So, I mean, just like Carrie Fisher's death for Rise.
Oh,
like nobody thought that was gonna happen.
Yeah, but I will say here with the Rise of Skywalker, before The Last Jedi came out, Carrie had passed. They had a shot of her obviously they could have used as her death, you know, with the ship getting blown up. Now they chose to keep her alive and just have her like in this cast for the entire movie. Like, I'm sorry, but like, you had the opportunity there to get her out of the story in a meaningful way that actually could have helped Kylo's arc as well. And they didn't take it. I'm sorry, but like, at that point when that happened, they should have delayed the movie and started reshooting other stuff. Because if she would have like died by being sucked out like that, that would have been perfect. Rather than her just like going and like doing like the Obi-Wan where she just dissipates into the Force, right?
And that turning Kylo. I think if she would have died like that, and because I mean, at least in my opinion, I think Kylo would be the cause of her death at that point in time.
Right. Like, he was leading the assault, but he didn't press obviously he didn't fire the shot. So I think it would have created conflict within him. It honestly would have been so much better. I can't like Snoke, it frustrates me to even talk about it, to be honest. Like,
Snoke could have used that against him. Like, no, you killed your mother as well.
Yep. Oh, dude, that's what could have been. What could have been.
Star Wars, what if?
Yeah, seriously, they need to go back to that moment right there and restart the sequels from that moment. And if they did, they could reshoot everything else because they don't need Carrie at that point anymore. That's that is very frustrating.
You're definitely right. They should have stopped there. And like done reshoots.
They had the chance. I mean, there's no reason they couldn't have delayed the movie at that point in time. No one's gonna be mad at them waiting, especially delaying it after Carrie's passing. No one would be mad about that.
Yeah, and everyone everyone would also understand. And the hype was so big around Star Wars at the time anyway.
Yeah,
I feel like they'd be okay with having to wait another 6 months to 8 months.
100%. People would have.
And then that time too, Solo could have came out before then and given that little filler that they need. And then Solo wouldn't have done fucking horrible. I'm sorry, I love Solo.
Solo's good,
and I wish you would have got the trilogy because of what was talked about to happen with it. Yeah. It would have been insane.
Oh yeah,
and it's I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of missed opportunities here, but
yeah, I think Baylan is definitely gonna die.
I agree.
I don't want to say Sabine though, because now it definitely does feel like Sabine has plot armor after her almost dying in the first episode.
I don't think she dies. I don't think Sabine dies.
Like it would be too much of a Reva scenario.
Yeah.
Like for them to repeat that. So Sabine's not gonna die. I don't think Hera is. Ahsoka's definitely not.
No. I don't think anyone besides Baylan's gonna die this season.
Yeah.
That's the only person I think is gonna die in the show. But I'm also saying that because I know he's not gonna be in the next season, which is kind of like So it's hard to say. As far as like cameos go, I think anything goes next episode. I mean, it's World Between Worlds. They could have shot anything. I mean, we could see anything. And I hope we see a glimpse of Luke, or at least Anakin mentions Luke. If we don't get a Luke mention in this whole season, I will be upset.
I will be too. Yeah. Because Ahsoka, I mean, unless they shoot it weirdly, because like Book of Boba Fett, obviously Ahsoka knows Luke. If they set that to where that's after, and Anakin sent Ahsoka to go find Luke, sweet. I will love that if that's how the way they go about it.
Yep.
But if they just totally disregard it, then I'd be a little pissed off.
Right.
But then too, like the one thing I want to see, because we know it's gonna be a flashback, and I know it's Dave. I want to see Anakin in the Clone Wars armor.
Oh, I do too.
The one thing from the show from what was announced, Rex too. The one thing from the show, Phase 1 or Phase 2. For me, honestly, I love Phase 2 a little bit less than Phase 1.
Oh, I love his modded Phase 2 helmet.
Oh yeah. The half Phase 2, Phase 1 helmet is like I love that one. I don't know. I just want to see Anakin in the Clone Wars armor, and when the show is announced, I'm like, that's the one wish I have for the show.
Yeah,
is just to have Anakin in. I mean, we already got him saying Snips, so that's already checked off the list. Like, see you later. But I want to see Anakin in Clone Wars armor, and I would love to see like a what if, and then that be Anakin and Ahsoka on Mustafar in the World Between Worlds.
Yeah,
like they walk past and be like, all right, no, this is like how this would have happened.
Yeah, I want to see some seriously crazy what ifs, like,
because that's the thing too. That's what it's. I mean,
Anakin stays on the light side. Even what if?
Yeah, like what if Anakin survived at 9 at episode 6 at the end?
Yeah,
and turned back to the light. I mean, Battlefront, the original Battlefront 3 was gonna be like a bunch of like concepts. So like what if?
Yeah.
So we already saw like Anakin. We already saw like if Luke turned to the dark side, or if Leia turned to the dark side.
Right.
So there's so many things that we could see. I just want to see Anakin in Clone Wars. I do want to see something with Mustafar. Definitely a Luke mention in some way. I don't know how they wouldn't do it since she knows Luke now, unless the show is before Book of Boba Fett. That's the only thing.
I think it's possible it's before Book of Boba Fett, but we're gonna have to see. I mean, that's just one of those things. We're not gonna know until we get more confirmation around that, which could be in this next episode. It could be at the end of the season.
With her saying like there's so much like your father, I feel like that had to have come after World Between Worlds,
right? At least after in my she's own come to terms with what Anakin has become. So,
because she like you, I feel like you and I both know she's living with a tremendous amount of guilt for walking away from Anakin, and I think Anakin's gonna go around that path. I don't want to say it's the son, but I'm just gonna put that to the side, like the son theory. If it truly is just Anakin, and this is where Jedi go to die, so to speak, I want Anakin to be like, no, like if you would have been there, you would have died too.
Yeah,
you did the right thing by walking away.
Yeah,
because if you didn't walk away,
you'd be dead.
You wouldn't have lived past Mustafar.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I
like.
Say.
I just want Anakin to tell like Ahsoka like it wasn't your fault.
Yeah, I mean,
you
she
don't
just
have to blame
needs,
yourself
she
for
needs,
it.
yeah, she needs to get that like that confirmation,
the reassurance.
Yep. So, all right, man, it's gonna be insane. This fifth episode is gonna be like.
But I can't wait.
It's gonna be pretty wild. So, I'm pumped for it. I know you are. I know we're gonna chat this week right after the episode, and I think we're gonna have Tony from Star Wars Sith on. So
let's go. Hopefully,
so that should be pretty awesome. If we can get our schedules aligned, but so I think we should probably wrap there. We're going a little long here today. But you got any final comments or anything else?
This is where the fun begins.
Right on, man.
That's about it.
All right, guys. We'll wrap there then, and we'll talk to you after episode 5 of Ahsoka this week. May the Force be with you. We'll see you later.